queues of loud pintons at the post office, and freaks who do not bring garbage to the trash can. He remembered the legend of the sixth infinity yak, with which it was possible to rid the universe of at least half of the idiots. Because of the long-standing interplanetary Amazon, a special glove with which you can control the stones without damage to yourself, he put up an ad, and the purchase of infinity stones, at a generous price. But after Loki and Ronan broke off grandfather, deciding to keep the stones for themselves, Kazakhstan motivated, I lifted myself off my ass with the throne and took advantage of the rule of Jean-Baptiste Manuel Zorg. In order not to force the audience to sit in cinemas for 5 hours, Violet first of all contacted the agency, Ebash as a Tantage and a super spy, who will tell the exact location of all the stones throughout the film, and when the first stone of power is at the new core, who have a decent army by Selena's standards, plus the old people of the galaxy will always help out. Ebashtok Mantajok allows Pokestonas to take possession of the Power Stone in 1 second, and then in the same mounting way that he took the ship from the guard and learned from the spy. I swear to Mom, what is the Stone of Space here streets? And if not for a miracle, the installation office, it is unlikely to be with its own family, would have been able to capture the ship so easily when Thor was on it, having pumped it up to the 100th level the other day. Plus, the Winter Hulk, who apparently spent the entire capture of the ship in the pool. He pays for his friends when everyone has already been weighed in half, no matter how much the heavyweight Yuvzi would not have green. Against the Cabanas, the usually stones of strength, he pushes uselessly. The milestone kidney fought back, sends him into a deep sleep with a couple of punches, and thanks to the fact that Thor has been arranging for a week on the ship, binge, Hindle confused him with the Hulk, and sends Gramala to Earth. When Thor has a much better chance, he will fail, from Zhekistanas. But even better, it was necessary to teleport Tanas, with a ton of Petmotmoroskum deviant, so that they made a pet out of him. And while the B****************** S Danyas was straightening the face of the green, there is no log to use a tesseract, and mess up something Mudatsky. I just decided to play out my demise once again, created a projection that would break my neck, and he quietly dumped the planet on the far side, putting the device on the fate of his brother, whom he kind of fell in love with. I created such a realistic projection of the seed itself, that even the Mad Titan bought it, and hid, through 6 wreckage of the ship, faked his death, and Adrieked the cosmos. I scooped myself out of the equation, a person on a remote planet, and stayed there alone. It's all new again, some kind of vicious circle. Having finished the space robbery, the Gopnik family goes to nightmare other owners of an expensive Valurka. It's good that Ben has already arrived before the end, and in short, and clarifies the situation. Tama lives. Who? The F*** ******ing coat. Ha ha ha. Ah. Well, I see. Clear. Here, instead of teaching spells on cooking, Salada, after he almost converted the Earth into a gift, it would be better to study future potential threats to his planet and track non-planetary scumbags with ambitions worse than Hitler. And since it is necessary to wage a war against violets, it requires a non-hill and a financial infusion in a reliable currency. First of all, the sorcerers pull up Bashlev himself, and from the threshold they declare that Dinshat will need a wagon, small cart. Thanas. He's chumming. Seizes planets, takes what he wants, slaughters half of the population. And only Tony, in the transition to musicians, I collect small change. Stark was going to call the Northern Lenny to offer him to drop off to a party. And the fact that it is always only he is surprised when news comes that it's time for them to move to a hospital for mental fitness, because when they landed in New York, freeloaders for Panasa, who learned from a scenario denunciation that the time stone is located at this point of the planet. No one noticed a ship of this size approaching the Earth, because the military did not stop drinking. Salark. Standing at restaurants for free Wi-Fi. I'm picking up Stark. For the sake of economy, I wrote off all my satellites. And I even forgot to create a system about hanging superheroes. And for what the novice learns about the attack only by pure chance. Here, bitch, clown. Well, Strens, I forgot to get my brain in the morning. After all, when it's already clear why the Chebureks arrived, and a voice is clearly spinning in his head now. The only thing we can get here is P***, and rather in a bad way. He and Wong don't smoke on the fools. Portal their endless abyss. I was falling in rags. 13 minutes. They just started looking. Like Boehner is also pushing himself like a Hulk. But since the Hulk is now constipated, Stark, as always, is not coordinated into the attack. Stark, we need a plan of attack. I already have one. Kotakuyu. Probably, mutants unknown to him into one. Also in close combat. When, to begin with, I can forgive them, then it will not be long-range waste. And where the fuck is he? Vaishka Iron Saltak, who would now solve all the problems in a second. For I parry with Pell. Uryuk has long been on par with the elderly. Maybe telling me to cut the metal, so Yusa and you, just to look like a Russian post-loader. But the Strand has hundreds of cool spells. Maximum uses on bitch fruit. A Modic rope. When I could pour him a couple of bottles of beer. To mow down here in USMERT. Because of such a jam. The answer of the Tinsultnik. It does not make you wait long. The surgeon is lucky that he always has his superdial with him, performing the function. Let's do less P*** **ite more S** Vivatsia. Because of the fact that we were fucked with their shits in Karam, Emu didn't have enough Selenok to keep the owner, to quickly fix the existing Petka everywhere. Cheen. The stinks never returned from their vacations. A huge vacuum cleaner was blowing over itself, but a ton of Pinty Nurkai for the delay at Peterachka all fight about Stark. Meanwhile, in his fancy supersuit, the sledder of the Begoyast ferry is getting wise, because with his weapons now you can't even rob a stall. When the Prekolyuks, capable of burning dozens, did not decrease earlier. Iron soldiers. Disposable. Bolagavam was not far away, and saves this miser from an opportunity. Ask at the heavenly gate who is here extremely and without risking to check. Will Petka survive in zero gravity? Tony rides a bicycle to work in the winter. She sends him a night jacket from a sports suit, and only for the sake of returning the party generic. Because fuck you need the help of a super person who has already proved that he is not inferior to himself in invulnerability and the fire of porn. This is when there is one old man with stereogenesis on the ship, against whom he can do nothing. Or maybe the enemy is waiting in the wings here. Vaishka Zeleznik Soldik. He was almost killed by one pole with an axe. But for the first time, Petka choked on a pound of dryness in his brain, and I decided not to abandon the employer, who supplies him with ultra-expensive devices. A cunning ghoul, but with the safety of a warship to a really big garbage container. There will be no guards, no video cameras, no alarms, no guard dogs, and you will cover all the doors, which allows Stark, in a minute, to find a baked zucchini, which has just begun to carry out a trench and a planetary facial plastic surgery. And then Petka calmly finds Stark, and for the second time he is showing off his intelligence. Knowing that they will not be able to alienate the sorcerer Anchovy, he offers to bury the hull of the ship to show the strangers. And even in such a light plan, I did not manage to get dirty after the rout. Miller Durr thought about something for half a minute to Aviliux and for what he almost lost. But two of the most numerous defenders of the Earth. It still flowers, it gets worse. To the control grinder. Tony washes the toilet paper after using Stark, instead of unwrapping the Cornhusker back. Decides to drive the Titan Sioux to the Seagull. He doesn't hate us at home. This is how we build his surprise. Because for some reason I decided that the ship was definitely flying to the Violet, and that there won't be an army of 1,000,000 waiting for them? Iron soldiers. Well, strange, after the vacuum procedure, his thought processes slowed down, and he discovers this schizophrenical plan when he should protect the stone as president of the Constitution. And when can he create portals anywhere in the universe? How is it that I didn't think to open a portal to Earth to load on the ship? Magicians from my school of the charity, the rest of the Avengers, and indeed everyone. Well, who's still worth a dick? Well, since Tony, I give Stark empty envelopes at the wedding, did not track the Avengers in any way, and did not make a system for their enunciation. In the event of such a tritus, the Svanda vision is not in the tooth, about what size of ass they covered, and in whatever city they are hiding. No one will hide from the company and the installation tower, which teleports the Afghanistanis suckers, right behind their backs, and the years of married life have knocked down the hut. His body races from the vibranium. It has become no stronger than a can. But Avanda loves her concussed servant so much, that she prefers only to recline at birth. They turn into local balls. Hey! They thought of coming to the disassembly of the witch and the owners of one infinity stone, with spears and only two. I'll make you a new point and suck a different dosh. And HS. How many times would Wanda have played volleyball with the fuckers if Banner hadn't called the Unfrozen One, who is implementing his next smart attack plan here, while he distracts anchovies with his pretentious bread, Petuhovich and Rosianka, who no one has said, rush into the attack that on the death of an emergency operation, you need to find with a firearm and preferably the most dimensional. Do you like it? I'm coming to life. Well, at least they have learned not to throw enemies away from the side, thanks to which the apricots will be covered. But because of the show-offs, they immediately fuck everything up. Well, not murderers, but we will kill you, come on. And to Kinbrahu, how could you shit yourself like that? Hey, it's just interesting. Someday they became not murderers, when everyone has mountains of corpses on their shoulders. He alone is an Arctic penguin, in general, destroyed the base of the shield and the Trihori Carer, burying more than 100 people under it. I didn't understand about the beginning. This is an easy film for everyone, and since of those present, only one Karkarl knows about the existence of firearms, and I was going to the stone, already a couple of oddities and fuck knows what kind of army. Vibranium's Virum NO offers the only sure thing wrapped their stone together with themselves. Yes, the half-universe will destroy us. One life is nothing against the background of such a threat. Well, the kid from Brooklyn, in his credo, we don't throw kints, we score on the rest. We don't sell life to them. And they have no life and no friends, but innocent people. Yes, to demolish the base of the shield. Proshepoker, to smash half of Berlin for another hired killer. Proshepoker, I see us being killed so Thanos doesn't destroy half of the universe. I disagree, that's who really defended Chok Tanas in response. And also in the fact that it was not born, Weiss, Kozheleznik Saltak, because he got ton with his moral assaults. I knew him from the African cadre he sells weapons to bandits. What's the big deal? Just an acquaintance. I had nothing to do with him. And that the world does not need any army? Iron Saltak. Because they won't be able to do it themselves at all. And Stark obeyed. I was told that it was necessary to surround the planet with armor. A shield was such. And it doesn't matter how many freedoms will be trampled on. I said sell. That's what you told me behind the top lich to the shoulder. So what? Are they durable? I know. And after drinking a tablet of glycine, castrated by the steel, they take the Visiony Kanda to a super service operation. Therefore, at the same time, if anything, take the fight on black land. We can't really be New Yorkers, who have already suffered so much at the hands of Steve. And it turns out that the mean-spirited Stark has an excellent receiver for T'Challa, who screamed to dress up Panther, Barnes and Steve in costumes. But I only limited myself to a cheap fit. And give him a shield. It won't be enough. What to protect? And I also pinched the miracle of the plant, when I could on the singing of the slaughterhouses so that they would gain the power of the Panther. After all, Wakan Dunormi Otitan flies, who does not fight the planets in packs, but a few homeless people with sticks. Yes, I am some kind of Arctic Cullen cheerful. He walks around and sharpens his mistakes with everyone, instead of calling everyone you can, and asking them to bring any help. But as always, he decided that they had sorted everything out by themselves, because he had a friend and an Opopka in his presence. The scientist is a shameless one, an army of spearmen, an oblique shooter and one hallbuster, against some kind of old-timer with a mind of infinity, who knows how big an army. He is so confident of victory that he did not call us not to the Arab eye, who is now digging a family of potatoes at the dacha, not an ant who watches Netflix on house arrest. Yes, one ant could easily soak Tana's solo. I'll put a little cement pump on the topic, where the dream does not shine, and zoom in. With Tivandri, he didn't even tell Fury, who is riding around the city with his secretary. He would not only have brought his old, but working Hurrik but most importantly, there would be a Sashmarvel, which would fly in one fell swoop, and beat up a BO Purple. I don't want to. Is there anything for me? Fuck off. And along the Korojevskaya skirmish, they opened their branch of suicides, Guardians of the Galaxy Play Rescuers 911, and at the signal for help, the Kostinkas of the Asgard liner arrive. There is an insect on the highway. A Taurus sticks to the windshield, and the bug brings him to his senses by joking. Thor, the dollar in Russia is 30 again. Wow. Yeah, you can't do that shit. Just take it out on people. No. Appreciating the joke, Thor takes a Sentinel Man to the car sharing, and in order not to get bored on the road, he also takes a rocket with a tree, and he goes to the Earth Comdimly to get a new club. The rest we will tell the collector, where everything was known. I have already talked with the collector. He removed the third stone, threw on an illusion, and began to wait for the arrival of Gamora, who just knows where the Soul Stone is located. After all, Extracina knew with accuracy that after the destruction from the Garsky ship, Thor will survive. It will be the Guardians who will pick him up. He will tell you that the stone is a collector's reality, and Gamora will rush here right away. Along the way, Thanos still has a Stanarist stone. Reality is full of disappointments. As full of disappointments, the inside of his skull. After all, when he was the jock of oblivion to the ground, the guard temporarily turned the salad room into a cutting, and the brakes of Quill, who decided to threaten with a simple fart, touched him, because the heroes who save worlds and planets, of course, will not look for him and interfere with his plans. But apparently Titan is so absorbed in his plans, by having the population of the universe that does not think about such trifles. The universe is finite and finite. If you do not limit life, it lives itself. True. The old man has not studied the birth rate data and does not know that with the current birth rate, trillions of which he does not live, will be born after a couple of 100 years. And Gamora turns out not to be Matyora the killer. Kelovik is a cyborg, a homebrew killer of bones, and a real sissy with a vulnerable soul. After all, when she herself asked Quill to kill her in case Botek got to her, so as not to give him the position of the stone. I'm asking you to kill me at the same moment. After 2 seconds there was no torture, which she did not even like, immediately splits. Parmi. They broke down for a long time and got caught quickly. I love such operations. If Gamora was so worried, the cloggers of the universe, that she was ready to die, if only Thanos did not find the Soul Stone, what before flying to the Collector, where Thanos was obviously waiting for them, she did not buy Absolsenita on the way to Absolsenita, and she didn't commit suicide when Dad grabbed her. Learn green, as it should. Bree, Lakita. That's what I understand. And before Gramilla and Homora had time to go to the store half the world, they were met by a consultant for months, and in a simple, understandable language, he explains that everything here works by barter. To get it, you need to spend what you love. It is convenient that I exchanged my daughter for a stone. I would have picked up my beloved daughter. This is where you fall. Thor and the Rocket arrive at the AliExpress plant at this time, but apart from Tyrion, no one is found at the factory, and he rolls the cylinders on Thor from the threshold. Asgarth bragged about protecting us. Asgarth, destroyed. Handsome Zlatovlaska got off well, that instead of protecting the dwarves, he was absolutely drinking hard. After all, Gauntletes ordered the gauntlet from Tyrion 4 years before the destruction of Asgard. Here it is for the fuck. And having given Tyrion all the balls of Pyarachka accumulated during his life, Thor orders the most top-end club. But a problem looms. The mechanism of the forge for neutronicity is rusty everywhere. But this is a problem for ordinary mortals. They are for the favorites of the Centerist. Thor uses himself as a Yukari, and the Pulsun in the keys in the endless horsepower, on his small vessel. The stalker will be gored by a huge star mechanism. Physics. Sigsuk. I'm not grateful. Giving back. Thor decides to stir up a Bond day, and instead of replacing and repairing the mechanism that opens the aquarium, how much will have to be repaired? Boiled minutes. Maybe more, but what? Decides to open it himself, to warm up like in a Russian bath. But Tyrion shows that he is the same blacksmith as the strategic advisor Daenerys, the distributor of Raskolnikov's weapons, did not prepare everything necessary in advance. Tyrion. The hilt, you forgot. This is the person where the generate is. I'm lucky that he's already grown up enough, and can share his material. Due to Reedy in Sikiru fast charging, Thor rushes the first train to the ground to wet and was on himself, even without calling the guards, and not knowing Gefiolatovi as now. Otherwise, when disassembling on Titan, the guys would have serious support. Seeing the God of Thunder, you're totally drunk right now. But Wakandi is already starting to get more fun. They did not have time to put the vision on the operating table, as Totterstan's unfinished suckers were raking up, who, having received the cradle, drove for support, because how Araya's group sang, "You have a lead-in Khanes, there is a Strayan in the Strali, Valinok, Shkudri who but got up, Pegoroi," and so he built a protective dome on the lawyers of Taishala, about the air defense border, did not put, otherwise, he would have shot down the ships in the atmosphere, and hundreds of people would not have died today. Somehow it's not cool. Who would speak? And as if in an anecdote, two gangs of fuckers met alive, that some put spearmen with shields in a crow, that others came with swords and with an army of halves. Lucky poked that Sportana also turned out to be a fan of the Middle Ages, otherwise, they would all be turned into overcooking or shish kebab in a second. If he had an army as an architect, or if he had brought a couple of his lagmans, I would have stung everything here with missiles. Yes, and when the Poke has dozens of jets, he did not use them either, but having the drawings of Veronica's project, I made only one suit for Benner, and not for each of his own war, so that he had his own pumped Veshka iron Saltak. Although why bother, when there are 200 non-dealers, a Mega Strotek, Elastic and Aunts, Oblique Petuhovich, who shoots almost from a kilometer and at great speed, and Colonel Ram, who drops bombs on individual monsters, when it was possible to fly out of the dome, and a woman in full crowds. And when Poke understands military tactics, like a deer in programming languages, he didn't even consult with the generals. And he decides to open the dome, so that strangers would go, and so on them, they bypassed the city and did not attack the hut. But the fact that strangers would bypass his troops, and get into the city even faster, he did not think, but all he had to do was send a pier, and a chrome-plated one, shooting at a cabaret near the hospital, until his sister pulled out a stone. Could there have been bags of PvP match, if the cool guys on the rainbow suit hadn't come to the rescue, from the Montager and the Bisheviches, from whom they learned, that it was in Okanda that there was a bad log now, and so far Torzoryajayat all mobiles. Tony's team with bums, Diru Stark's swollen. On autopilot, they reach Titan. They want to try it out, go for a planetary landing, after which they survive, only thanks to the masters of the Ings. And the Strashi campaign are participants of the battle strats. They have guessed exactly the place where the ship will land, and when all the professional killers are here. After the administrative assault, no one even got a scratch. It looks especially funny when I drop Tony. The iron suits are boring weapons, and Strange knows hundreds of spells. Pats, Imima, Pats, Deki Satramishk. Well, after finding out that they have a common hater, I want to kill Thanos. Guys, they're getting serious. The benefits of the English language in the universe, as famous as on Earth, and since the murder plan is purple, only leads through the burials without a wake. And what do you want to do? Do you have some kind of plan? Everything is extremely simple to lure to fool around. The plant keeps on Soblia. Strange connects the couples and analyzed all the options for the future. Finds the perfect one. And she is to a new planet, where Ida is better, women are more beautiful, and drugs are more expensive. A good plan. The one and only one to follow Thanos' buoy today, so that 5 years later, the younger brother from Plinner, I ran in the right place and accidentally pulled out an ant and a squant. Invent a time machine. Collect stones in parallel measures. Cancel the click and fill up Thanos himself. Billions of people who have come from nowhere will begin to starve, because the economy will be destroyed, and civil wars for resources will begin. You can't say anything about a routine plan. And this is even the best poppy in the history of Hogwarts. Strange had to get better, we knew. The best in the history of Hogwarts. Not dinner. The best, Zolochek Zaranta. And the abnegation. And the plan itself is kind of strange. Neslovo didn't tell anyone about him. And for some reason I decided to give Fionboy. They just give him the stone and ask for mercy. When Filet arrives in these jellies, They fly with the guards into the bottom and attack him from behind. He apparently decides to fight with them, without using a glove for 100%, since the budget for special effects is decent, and it is necessary to master it, because when he could cut everyone in a second, he sucks like a girl, with reduced social responsibility. And when it succeeds, the big guy is immobilized, and Strange drops a praying mantis on his head, and she causes a semi-crat of death in his operating system. Then they try to remove the glove from the hand, instead of just filling up the Titan himself, or someone could cut off the glove with a laser, which also holds on, as if they were put on a climax. And then, and everyone else joins the parade and Blontisms. It wasn't, absolutely not at the right time, suddenly decides to support Quill, saying that Gamora is now renting a hut in the underworld. He took her to Warmere and returned with the Soul Stone. He's not. That's who's stabbing you, and he pulled you. And in church he won't let you wait, while the men will take off the Titan and in Valerka. And thanks to the Star Reptiloid, she woke up, went online and decided to follow Wanda's example. Good to play in a giveaway. And it is very interesting why Strange was not satisfied with this plan, only to let an extra Quill to Thanos, who still does not participate in his containment, calmly take off the glove. I would send a purple Zadorovyaka, in a steam room where Tishek entertain. Look, Sharapov, and don't be surprised, the monster. After all, Strange's perfect plan, as crowned with the death of Tony Stark. Well, or Strange looked at the options for the future, only until the moment when Tony kills him. Well, no further. And I'm Iron Man. Yeah. Ha ha ha. Although what kind of logic can a person have who has decided to change reality, just because Parker's student will start hating on social networks after learning that he is Spider-Man? Let two candles. Forget that Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Oh, it can't be. You're fucking kidding me. This F*******L sounds weird again, but let it be that one. Well, when Mstyuna bent down, sent everyone to collect the earth with his mouth, the main fight of the evening comes, between him and Tony. When I drink with friends at the bar, I always forget the money at home with Stark. And he twisted the suit just like a Swiss knife. There is a pussy la handouts for any C2 wine. Kim hammer in the legs. Iskit protects Infinity Stones, and an iron boxing glove. That's just when Stark blocked the Titan's hand. You need to be the last skin of the anus, to beat him with a glove, and not with the assassin's blade, which he decided to use when Violet was already ready to repel the blow. And having broken the blade, the nurse conducts them to Stark ventilation of the ovary. After all, the engineering genius did not think to make a lining, and the stack is full of shielded particles. Well, when all the defenders of the universe are in Nako, there comes a moment to give the stone, not to the Hollow, with the payment and dumps, again leaving all the be alive, so that later they would calmly even embody her. And while he is flying business class to Okanda, a complete madhouse is going on there. Wanda, who was supposed to protect Vejun, while Shur was screwing with his operating system, decided to go into battle, to show that he could make a pretentious face. They were terrifying Rogers. And that was all the anchovy needed, which immediately descended on the hospital. But, and Vision, there would be no way to throw the hell out of the hospital, and complete the transfer of consciousness. I decided to fight both with a non-laser and a bench, and in the hand, forgetting that his body has become no stronger than a beer can. But, Wanda, instead of taking your beloved away with telekinesis, let's shoot right on the battlefield. And on the stupid one. Well, when the Avengers and the Vacants gave the tour the opportunity to finish off the remnants of the bot army, Papanos appears, and so that every Avenger has time to OP asterisk with him. All of them very conveniently turned out to be 5 meters from each other, but Bipolaros, who burned planets to the ground, staged genocide, and wants to destroy trillions of living beings, only throws the heads of the heroes aside, and the heroes themselves. It's like the gentlemen are attacking in turn, because Trotek from God Rogers didn't think to gather everyone together, and try to do something sensible in a crowd, and not alone. You can burn forever on a draw jersey. You swapped the hand of a brutalist and began to stare at him with the words, "I see what a strong man I am." They tried to kiss his fingers, or pull out one of the stones and quickly run away, as he knows how. I think I'm good with you. Well, This is Tavash, Captain America. Well, how to find them? I disagree. Well, when the magical girl missed the moment, the destruction of the stone without its own narrow. You have to destroy the stone together with the narrow. And then she rushed into grief. Instead of telekinesis, to scatter with Mikel Sopo Jungle, who turns out to be smart, and read the instructions in advance how to use the time stone. And Wanda, don't you want to go to jam with your cool magic? Throws his face under the fist of a titan. And only Grandpa has collected the entire collection of rare topaz. As a fan arrives to get drunk, and with shaking hands, Sekira gets to the wrong place. He also hung up his ears, which the ear of the ear will tell him with its fingers, well, you, Oleg. Don't. Ah. TK 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 TK. TK 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 give me a beam. And on the relatives. That in a minute in the universe, there will be half as many uns. Goes to the dacha to enjoy silence and peace of mind. And finally, with Roger's Astheva, Libela's Fosna comes to life when we realize that only he is different in the death of trillions. First persuaded, then not to create. The Veshka of the Iron Soldiers did not inform Fury, who would have called the universal solution, and did not pull out the stone, which was reduced by half while he was at a loss. What have you done? How will you justify yourself? I am also Fragers. Well done.